In MidJourney, there are thousands of things you can know, however these 23 you need to know. Starting with the blend feature. If you have two amazing images, you can type /blend and combine them. This will give you a much better outcome than trying to do it through a text. Not to mention that some pictures are quite hard to describe. However, one thing you can do with the blend command is combine an image with text. You can do it with a different tool, I'm covering that in a second. Now, let's look at older versions of MidJourney. Most people avoid them because they think old equals bad, but that's not the case. Think of versions like Human Age. Versions 1, 2 and 3 all have this unique childlike creativity. This is perfect if you want something simple and abstract. And if you then want to upgrade, you can click the remaster button. Oh, and by the way, a secret most people don't know is you can actually downgrade images as well. All you have to do is utilize the blend command with the version of your choice selected. So, how do you actually select versions? There are two ways, either by using what's called a parameter, more on those later, or by typing /settings. In this menu, all you have to do is click on the version you want to choose. Now, there's quite a lot of settings, so let's quickly go through them. Raw mode makes the AI not have as many assumptions about what you want. Instead, it creates the closest thing to your prompt. Very close to raw mode is the stylize option. The lowest setting gives you the closest thing to your prompt, but is less artistic. And as you increase this value, you get fancier results, but at the cost of prompt accuracy. And also, a quick tip, the MidJourney versions 1 to 3 only work with stylized medium. That's because it's the default. Next up, the Niji mode. You can think of this as an AI that specializes in anime and illustrative style. It is also a lot more sensitive to the stylized option, so make sure you test it out. Now, what most people don't know is that there are 3 hidden settings that only work in Niji mode, called Style Cute, Style Expressive and Style Scenic. Cute makes the image cuter, expressive more expressive, you get the point. High variation and low variation affect how close the variations will be to your original image. That's the V1, V2, V3 and V4. And last, but definitely not least, the remix button. This is the key to advanced images. It lets you change your prompt throughout the process while still staying within the bounds of the original image. That way, you can continue adjusting the original instead of writing the prompt again and having something completely different. One more way to remix images is to use the text plus image setting I mentioned earlier. This is especially useful if you don't have access to the original creation. All you need to do is have the picture uploaded somewhere on Discord. Click on copy link, paste it into the prompt, and then type the text. Voila, it's that simple. It's not as good as the remix option, but it's all we have. Next up, a big thing about the actual prompts. Once you have your key idea down, for example, Ice Queen in Fire, there is a lot of what I like to call keyword adjectives that you can specify. However, there is 8 that make the most difference. Perspective, for example, aerial view, worm side view, and then street view, which is human level. Then we have lighting, so direct lighting, backlighting, and diffuse lighting. And the rest, I'm just going to say the thing and show the difference. So, cover, mood, composition, texture, style, and detail level. I also found an amazing free tool that you can look into if you want to dive deeper into this. Now I know that there was quite a lot of information, but don't worry, that's where presets come in. So for example, having aerial view, realism, and monochromatic color all in a single command. I'll show you how to do it later, because first you must understand what is good together and what isn't. Luckily, there is a feature called the permutations, which allows for mass testing. So if you have a good idea and want to test it in different styles, simply do /imagine your idea and then in curly brackets the variables you want to test. This allows you to try multiple versions very quickly. You are also not limited to just one permutation per prompt. However, do note that if you are on a paid plan, you use up your fast hours quite fast. That sounded way funnier in my head, I promise. Anyway, one more thing that saves a lot of time is --repeat. When your prompts are short and vague, you get results with anything and everything. However, sometimes this is great because it allows you to see a lot of different results in a short time. And so, instead of having to copy paste the same prompt, all you need to do is type --repeat and the number of generations you want. By the way, the --commands are what's called parameters, and there's quite a lot of them. However, the main ones are AR, -AR, which changes the aspect ratio, -stop, which stops the creation process earlier for a blurry effect, -tile to create an image that can be stacked to infinity. I use this all the time with the blend command, -quality to make your picture less or more detailed, the default is 1, and finally -no, which you can use to exclude a certain thing from your image. There are also things like stylize, style, version and more, but these are just text forms of the things we have covered earlier. Apart from -no, you can also exclude something by typing -.5. If you are confused about what a double colon is, think of them as the dots of MidJourney. By typing rainbow.forest, you would get a rainbow forest. However, if you separate it with a double colon, you will get a rainbow and a forest. Now, if the picture isn't rainbowy or foresty enough, you can use what's called prompt weights to make something more important. If you wanted a lot more rainbow, you would do rainbow, 5, forest. 5 is the maximum, 1 is the default. We have covered a lot of terms, so let me show you how you can group them into a single parameter. It's actually super simple. All you have to do is type this command, give it a custom name, and then the variables. So, for example, wallpaper, bright, AR16:9, tile. Then, if you type, let's say, trippy art, --wallpaper, it will pull up all those options. And if you want to have something for every prompt, you can type /prefer suffix and, for example, AR16:9, which I use all the time when I want to work with a certain aspect ratio for multiple images. Now that you know most of the technical stuff, there are 3 easy things that can help you think of great ideas and your ability to put them into prompts. First off, it starts with taking inspiration from other people. This can be the MidJourney gallery, real life art, or anything online. Now luckily for us, there is a tool that can make this a lot easier. It's called the describe command. You can give it any image and then MidJourney will give you 4 different prompts of how it sees that image. This is extremely helpful for 2 reasons. Number 1, art is subjective, and so you and MidJourney can see completely different things. And number 2, on the official website, you can see the prompts, but often they are quite vague or very short. But if you use the describe command, MidJourney will give you a much better explanation, allowing you to understand and replicate the image much better. That being said, longer prompts aren't always the best thing, which is why we also have the shorten command. By using this, MidJourney will give you the most important keywords and 4 versions of that prompt, or in simple language, summarizing it. Now the reason why this is helpful is because when you have a big idea in mind, you want to start with simpler and shorter keywords, and from there use the remix tool to get the details down. Or a second, much easier option is using a MidJourney prompt generator. For example, the tool I mentioned earlier, or ChatGPT, where you just give it something and tell it to make it into a prompt, and voila. Though, that being said, do not rely on this. It's easy to think that the images are better and stop using your thinking muscle. However, the only way to improve is to practice. Think of these tools like a car. Sure, it's much faster than cycling, in this case manual prompting, but you will never develop the muscles needed. I've showed you a lot of things that matter a lot, but some things don't matter at all. For example, exclamation mark and capitalization. Use prompt weights instead. Dots are double colons, question marks do nothing, and the biggest thing that doesn't matter is trying to add text. MidJourney is horrible at anything text related, so instead, create your picture normally and then use Photoshop or Canva and add your text manually. However, I think this will change quite soon. That's why it's important to stay up to date. The official MidJourney guide is perfect for this. I'll leave a link in the description. And last but not least, remember, mastering AI art isn't a matter of watching just one video. Even the best of the best are still learning new things every day. So don't be too harsh on yourself. Keep in mind that progress isn't always linear, and go create some art. If you found any value, please subscribe.